coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Yes, a special show. And once again, we have one of our very, very special guests and friends, Mr. Bradley Hallman, in studio. And it's a little chilly, Bradley.
It is. It is. Very cold outside. Very cold outside. Good to have you here, Mark.
Yeah.
I was very a lot of people concerned about you last week.
I'm feeling better. You guys are telling me I'm looking better. I don't know about that. I don't know how bad you can cure ugly, but that's the case right now. Hopefully, I will continue to regain some strength and improve every single day. But, man, can't thank you enough for taking time. Once again, I know a lot of fans out there really, really like when you're in studio. And Matt and I, we kind of got back in the groove a little bit yesterday, talked a little football, talked a little FLW, and kind of cross paths with several things that are going on in the world today. But I mentioned on the show yesterday, you were planning on going to the Cleveland Browns Arizona Cardinal games, correct?
That's right.
So what happened?
Well, we'd had tickets for almost a year since Kyler was drafted, I believe, and then we saw that on the schedule like a lot of people here in Oklahoma.
If you're not a football fan, number one pick versus number one pick, quarterback, right. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, both of them Oklahoma Heisman-winning quarterbacks that were drafted playing each other in the desert.
Right, so a lot of the Sooner fans were like, hey, we want that ticket. And we're good friends with Mike Fletcher up at Totally Tickets, and we planned a trip with him and his beautiful wife, Whitney. And so we've been looking forward to it all year, and we're supposed to leave last Friday. Thursday night, we were actually supposed to meet Whitney and Mike Fletcher for a bow tie ball. Cal Ripken was in town.
That's big time.
And that was the plan. So I was rushing home to get all the kids to the house, and a babysitter coming over, and maybe my 15-year-old could wrangle them. But anyway, that all got cut short with a phone call that nobody wants to get in life. And it was actually a guy that I didn't know. Had got a phone call from my 15-year-old daughter's cell phone, and it was an emergency paramedic, and they were on the side of the interstate and had been involved in a 4-car accident on the interstate. So that brought everything to a halt, and we spent Thursday night in the emergency room. But luckily, everybody's okay. My wife did have a broken hand, and we had surgery on that yesterday. So she's healing up, and the 4-year-old was in the car with her too. Had a little road rash from the 5-point harness, but those things work, guys. No doubt, those things work.
Wow.
And my 15-year-old daughter had a little knee issue, but she's in a little knee brace and limping around, and I think she's going to be just fine.
All right. Well, that's a good thing everybody's okay on this. Matt, I have to ask. I'm going to ask him. I don't know how upset he's going to get. Did you DVR the game?
No, and you know what they did to us here in this part of the country? They didn't even show it to us.
No,
did anybody notice?
You don't say.
They blacked it out.
We should have talked about that.
No, did not air in Oklahoma City.
Well, what did they air instead?
They did.
It was a 3 o'clock game.
Duh!
I'm being facetious here, Mark.
No, I don't think it was. Was it the MLF?
Yes.
That aired at the same time?
It was the MLF.
Wow. Yeah. Baker and Kyler are pretty big names. Yeah. Especially around here. But, they didn't air it here. And so you had to have the NFL ticket, I guess, if you were going to watch.
There was a lot of upset people, man.
Yep.
A ton of upset people. And we made the comment yesterday in the discussion. There was a lot of people that got exposed to fishing yesterday.
Yeah.
A ton of people. But what is the taste in their mouth after the fact that Cleveland and Arizona and other games, it wasn't just the Cleveland-Arizona game, there are other games across the country that did not get shown because the local markets decided to show fishing, or they decided not to show fishing and showed whatever game was being aired in that market. So I don't know if we're going to get a true indication on the benefit or whatever you want to call
impact.
it. Yeah, the impact of what went down on CBS from a Major League Fishing standpoint.
I know when I walked by the TV, the kids were in my 9-year-old and 11-year-old are big NFL football fans, bigger than myself. They love the NFL, and they had been in there watching it all day long, and I happened to walk by in front of the TV, and I saw Edwin, and I was like, whoa. And then I saw at the deal, it said CBS, and I was like, dang, they are on CBS. That is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And but I didn't put 2 and 2 together that it was the same time as the game. Actually, I think when I saw that, guys, I think it was a little later than the Cleveland game.
Yeah, it was the same time because I was watching following the Cleveland Arizona game on my phone while I was watching it.
Yeah.
All right.
This is not the first time that they've been on CBS. I know that they've followed some golf events before, or preceded some golf events. So I think they try to do that with a couple every year. And I don't think this was a standard, it's not going to be every Sunday moving forward. I think it was kind of a one-off year in review for the Bass Pro Tour there.
Yeah. Well, I know it's a great spot because it's wintertime and, you're sitting in the house and it's cold and it's cold here. So you can imagine as we go north, that it's going to be everybody's kind of in their living room anyway and having eggnog and looking at the Christmas tree.
Yep. All right. Since we're talking television, I want to get your opinion, both of you, on a story that appeared on CNBC. I was doing my morning ritual and I ran across this interview that went down with the commissioner of Major League Baseball. His name is Rob Manfred. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it. It's either Manfred or Manford. I think it's Manfred. And here was the question from the CNBC interview. It says, do you believe that TV ratings are overrated? Talking about Major League Baseball. All right. Now, the one characteristic about Major League Baseball is they have billion dollar TV contracts with Fox and with ESPN, and with some smaller contracts with Turner. Okay? But that question was asked, and here is his response. It says, ratings are important. It's a measure. One measure of engagement. I think they are far less important now than they were a decade ago, just because the fans engage with the game in ways that are not captured in traditional ratings. All right? I'm going to stop right there. How important is fishing on television right now compared to where it was 10, 15 years ago? Bradley.
I think that it's more watered down. I mean, it's just like everything else. There's more places to get your outlet, whether it be not even on television, the internet live stuff that we're doing, and then there's more shows,
Yeah.
We still are going to run 3 premiere tours, so there's going to be 3 TV shows being filmed. They're going to be on all different channels.
What's more important right now, Bradley?
The cable does it too, though. It's not just the fact that there's more tours or more tournaments being televised. It's also that there's more. I mean, look, you and I came from the same age where we came in from church and turned on TNN on Sundays and we watched Bassmasters and Bob Cobb and those days are gone. We had 30 channels back then.
Yeah. Let me continue with this quote from the interview. It says, but I do think it's very hard to look back 15 years and say that they had this rating or that rating. It's a different environment. Has the environment changed the way that this game is being positioned to the fans and for the purpose of the sponsors? In other words, we made a big deal, and I think it is a big deal for this fishing thing to be on CBS. Mm-hmm. You guys agree with that?
100%. Yeah.
All right. But how important is that to the industry itself? I'm talking about all 3 entities, the sponsors, the anglers, and the fans.
Right.
To have that and spend an enormous amount of money putting that product on television. Is it more beneficial because of the dynamic and the way that media has changed to put more emphasis away from television? What are your thoughts?
Go ahead, Matthew.
I mean, you really have to have the endemic versus non-endemic talk here. So I think the television is going to be much more valuable for a non-endemic, like the Venmo on Brent Ehrler's hat during the TV show, where you don't have to explain what it is, and it's just a logo that subconsciously you digest. When it comes to the endemics, the value is going to be based in the return on their investment that they see after the show, and if they can tell that their sales have increased, or there's more hits on their website, or there's more social media action about it. And I don't think you can immediately say that until the numbers are out on how impactful it is on the endemic side. I think it's much easier on the non-endemic side, which typically you're going to be dealing with bigger companies, organizations that are going to be spread out over. I mean, look at a Toyota that has made a very kind of focus to get in all of these kind of manly outdoor activities, outdoor, they're going to see a lot more value on that TV side than, what do you say, a Sunline, when that isn't mentioned on the TV show, or the angler isn't talking about it, and then the people who see it, 1% of those people are going to relate to that line, whereas maybe 50% are going to relate to the Toyota.
And maybe this is part of the biggest backlash that we're getting here, because, that format and what MLF is doing is trying to go for non-endemics. I mean, that's really their purpose. And the spot that they're in on that CBS spot, like Matt says, is more valuable to non-endemics. I mean, I could see Toyota or a lot of other non-endemics, advertising with them. Toyota's a bad example.
All right, now one other question. One other question that he was asked, the commissioner of Major League Baseball. Here's the question. It says, on the digital side, the league's ballpark pass option seems to be popular. Where do you see it going, and what would you like for the 30 teams to offer from a subscription plan? Here's my question on that. Okay, and what Major League Baseball has done is they've made these digital packages available for multiple teams across Major League Baseball. What if you had a situation, and do you think that the leagues, all leagues, I'm talking the fishing leagues, the 3 that are out there now, do you think we are ever going to see a situation where Bradley Hallman is able to actually sell the content that is being created and package that content to where if you wanted to, you could put a camera in your boat, just like I know it's been done, and I know you're going to mention it, Matt, about what David Dudley and some of the other guys have done on Facebook. But what I'm saying is, are we at the point where you can fully package something together to where somebody, if they want to, can watch Bradley Hallman every single time that he is on the water trying to make a living?
No, we're not at that point.
Why is that? Is it just too complicated? Is it not marketable? Is this game not in a position to where the financial rewards or the financial results of companies getting involved with individual anglers and putting together digital packages to where it's your company, all right? It's your business.
Right.
Yeah, you're performing on a platform, but has anybody out there specifically sold the rights to where that digital live product can be positioned in this marketplace?
Wait, I'm confused. Okay, just theory. So Brad's fishing the Bassmaster Opens. He wants to stream everything. And he would then, Bass would allow him to use their platform.
Yeah.
But then you would pay a subscription fee to be able to watch
Or
Brad?
he could get paid by sponsors to support that and make it free available content from a digital perspective.
I don't know, guys. I mean, it seems like a hard sell to me. I'm thinking of Kevin. Kevin would be the one that
Scott.
I would think, or Scott would be the one that they could sell that spot. They probably could, a very small number, but then you're keeping away from what they're already giving away free.
Yeah.
Well, and I say they're giving away free. They're not giving away free. They're paid by their sponsors and other companies that they're associated with to represent those companies on a public, free forum. I don't see that changing, no.
Because people have already been conditioned. There's too much free information out there.
Absolutely.
It's not going to happen.
Plus, you look at the numbers that Carl and David Dudley and those guys get on their Facebook or the YouTube when they're streaming it live. And I mean, you rarely see more than 1,000 people watching it. It bounces between a couple hundred and 600 or 700, which is still, I mean, good number. That's a lot of people watching a guy fish. But
I do think that the fishing industry is going in the same direction that all of sports are going, where people want it on demand. They want it at the end of their finger at their convenience.
Let me say this about the TV, and I'm in that age where I started with the TV and the Bassmasters. I mean, watching the classic show and the Bassmasters on ESPN before there was the live coverage. But I'll use this as an example. Brandon Cobb, Lake Fork this year, catches that monster fish off of the bed. let's go back the year before live was. Brandon would come in. He would talk about how amazing this catch was. There would be some still photos of it, and they would say, you can't wait till the live show comes out till you can see how this can go down.
Yeah.
Everyone would be like, dude, we got to see this. We look at the century belt. It's 100 pounds. You got guys catching 30 pounds.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward to this year now. Cobb hooks that fish. It's on live. It's then replayed 7, 8, 10 times. You got people saying, go watch this fish. Bassmaster takes the tape back, turns it into a 1-minute Instagram clip. The next day, it's out on Instagram to their hundreds of thousands of followers. Everybody's sharing it. It's on Facebook. That little clip right there that would have been an incentive to say, I got to watch this show to see this 11, 12 pounder get caught, has already been maximized by the time to where you're not like, I can't miss this.
Yeah.
So you might have fewer people watching it on TV where it's part of the show and it's still valuable.
Yeah.
But that individual clip that would have driven more TV viewership has already been seen by way more people and burned into the minds of more people that TV had nothing to do with it.
All right, let me read one more comment and then we'll be done with this and move on from Major League Baseball's commissioner. And I quote in the interview, he says, we've got 1 million people a year in the ballparks. Did you think that there were more than 1 million people attending baseball games throughout a 162-game season?
I did, yes.
Yeah, me too. But just 1 million people, that's it. All right, let me continue. To do that...
I mean, dude, in comparison, college football, one team almost does that by themselves in one season, and they only play 6 home games.
Yeah, I know. All right, so let me continue with the quote. To do that, the local clubs have to be creative locally about how they are selling tickets. The ballpark pass is one of the example of the local club creativity trying to get a younger audience, allowing that younger audience to consume entertainment the way that they like to. They don't want to be committed to plan ahead. All right? Is that kind of the age that we're in, even in the fishing world now, where people they don't want to plan on like what you and I did, Bradley?
Yeah.
About rushing home on a Sunday watching TNN.
Right.
So the point of this discussion, I thought this is a very, very interesting story. This is the guy that is ruling a billion-dollar business in being the commissioner of Major League Baseball, and a lot of things that are taken in baseball, even though there are complete opposites, because my thought is that there were lesser people in the stands.
Yeah, but
fewer people watching, but there's more people engaging in the way that media and the way that content is being consumed by the younger fan.
There's way more than 1 million. It's got to be each ballpark, though.
It says, I'm reading the quote here, dude. We got 1 million people a year in the ballparks.
There's no way that's right. Because if there's 30 teams, you take 1 million divided by 30 is like 6,700.
All I'm doing is
and
reading
then you
the
have
quote.
to divide that by 162.
Yeah, it's got to be a different number.
No. Think about it. You may have one person that goes to all 81 home games.
Oh, you mean 1 million different people?
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, not total attendance.
So
just people, fans.
Yeah, I took it as total attendance too.
Yeah.
But baseball has obviously done what a lot of them have done. I mean, their big ticket is TV sales. And baseball's not just in the United States, guys. I mean, Major League Baseball's watched all over the world. There's a lot of countries that are much bigger into it than we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, there are packages where if you just want an ISO camera on the shortstop the entire game, you can get online on that team and watch the ISO on the shortstop.
With this paid package that he's talking about?
Right,
Yeah.
that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Or if you just want a shot of the manager in the bullpen.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's kind of cool. I mean, they're being creative.
Yeah.
So, but when you think about where we were 5 years ago, 6 years ago in the fishing world, from a engagement standpoint, from a media standpoint, there's no comparison. Now it's the battle of live streaming. That's what it is.
Right.
So, very interesting comments from the commissioner of baseball.
It's the game,
though.
man. In fishing, it's the game. People want to see the game, not the locker room post game.
Yeah.
Are we done talking about football? Are you gonna skip over the biggest
What's that?
football topic that we had to talk about for the whole show?
I hear I'm gonna take some grief on this one.
So if you go back 2 weeks ago,
No.
folks, just had a friendly. I asked Mark a lot of questions on the show, and one of them I said this was back after the Auburn Alabama game was, who's a more hardcore. Now I'm talking about you could have guys that I think you might be equal level of fans, but I mean as far as hardcore knowledge levels, layers deep. Do you take Brad Hallman, University of Oklahoma, or do you take Steve Kennedy, Auburn? And Jeffries really didn't miss a beat, and he said Steve Kennedy, Auburn,
Yeah.
over Brad Hallman, Oklahoma, as far as knowledge, 365 following the team a year.
Yeah.
And I talked to Brad, and I had to ask Brad to calm down because he was blowing my speakers out running down the highway.
You were yelling at me, huh, Bradley?
Well, I did. I listened to that show. What I can tell you is that Oklahoma played Auburn in the Sugar Bowl 5 years ago. Does that sound right, Mark? 4 or 5 years ago? Probably 5 years ago. It was the year that we did not go to the playoffs. So, we've been 4 years, so it was in that split year. But anyway, we still made the Sugar Bowl. We were Big 12 champions, and we played Auburn. And I believe Auburn was runner-up in the SEC that year. Anyway, we played Auburn, and somewhere halfway through the game, my wife and I were sitting there on the couch watching the game, and she said, I wonder if Julia Kennedy's watching the game, her and Steve. I said, I don't know. Shoot them a text. She fires off a text to them. They're at the movie theater, guys.
Oh!
They're not even at the game, not watching the game, nothing. So they're not in front of the TV. They're at the movie theater. So to ask if I think that right there should answer your question. Now, in Steve's defense, what he does do that I do not do is they will go to girls soccer games, girls basketball games. They go to everything.
Yeah.
If it's Auburn related and they have time, they go do that.
Yeah.
I can tell you that my family and I make a few basketball games, very few, and then football is our premier event.
Yeah. Which is the case for most. I mean, look at the Lloyd Noble, of where the University of Oklahoma men's basketball plays, and there's a zillion empty seats every single game now. Obviously, they're not as good as they were back in the heyday, back when we were in college. I mean, but it is what it is.
But no, Mark,
so I'm sorry, man.
I've never missed a Sugar Bowl that Oklahoma's going to play in. My TV set.
Are you going to the
turned on.
Peach Bowl?
To the Peach Bowl, I am not going. I'll be in Texas. But what I am going to do is if the Natty, if they win, which no one in the country thinks they will, and I'm in the same boat. I'm not sitting here beating the Boomer Sooner drum beat. I think LSU will win the ball game. But if Oklahoma was to win, I will be in Florida for the Open. The national championship will be played in New Orleans, and I will get on a plane from Orlando, and I will fly to the Natty.
Very nice.
I mean, I could prove this. Like, who's the backup right guard?
Backup right guard?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know? Come on, dude.
No, I don't.
told him you knew everything.
No, I don't know the backup right guard.
But you know about...
I know most of the offense. I know most of the players that play on it. Yeah.
And maybe some recruits coming in.
And I know a lot of backups, but the offensive line this year has been such a mix and shuffle and injuries. I don't know. And they're all new, other than our center.
Yeah.
Everybody's all new this year.
You know what high school Creed Humphrey went to?
Shawnee.
Yeah. See? He's
Yeah.
good.
We got to have Cajun Baby on after the first of the year. He called me. He's an LSU. I got a steak on it, a steak dinner straight up. That's how much confidence I've got. Straight up.
Nice.
Steak dinner.
All right, we're going to take a break, come back with Bradley Hallman, talk a little fishing. Everybody stay tuned.
Serious about catching fish, that HDS is a dead giveaway. You've got the best fish finding sonar money can buy. Time to build the ultimate fish finding system with live sight sonar. See what your lure is doing in real time. Watch fish strike as it happens. See for yourself. Take the Live Sight Sonar 30-day challenge. If Live Sight Sonar doesn't help you find and catch more fish, send it back, no questions asked.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com. We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
I want to share with you a new product we got coming out from Sunline. This is the FC leader size spools that we have now. We've gotten a lot of requests for this. A lot of you guys use fluorocarbon for leaders only, myself included. And one of the problems you have is when you have a 200-yard spool, that might last you 2, 3, 4 years. You might even lose it before you even get done with the spool. So we've gone to a little smaller spool. These are 50-yard spool sizes. You know, that way you're not holding your line on forever. You can keep your line fresh, use it when you can, stores real easily in the boat. We got all of our popular line sizes that you're used to with our Sniper from 5 to 14 pound. If you guys are looking for a line that you're only tying for a leader, go check out Sunline FC Leader 100% fluorocarbon and give it a try.
Blue Water by TH Marine. Offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the Rock Crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
I got my power pole down, stuck in the mud in the bottom of the lake, sitting so still in the wind and the waves, could even be a hurricane. I got my power pole down.
Meet AFTCO's iCast award-winning Hydronaut waterproof system. Hydronaut features a 20K 100% waterproof shell, double dry cuffs to keep water out, speed vent hood engineered to prevent neck strain at high rates of speed, AFTCO exclusive Cyclops tactical camera mount, Comfort Flex shoulder straps for all-day comfort, outerwear that you can count on. The Hydronaut waterproof system by AFTCO. Any fish, any water.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday. Bradley Hallman in studio.
I just forgot.
What's that?
Well, we had a very heated, educated discussion over the break. Well, if you've noticed, we've got the fuzzy mic and Brad's GoPro in studio. We've talked about on the show how Brad went from being computer illiterate 2 years ago to having 5 GoPros, a YouTube channel, an Instagram. He's all over social media now. So he's like, hey, I'm bringing some cameras in to do a kind of a cut edit of what goes on.
Yeah, you're always looking for ideas, and I wanted to shoot a behind-the-scenes BTL studio live. That's what I wanted to shoot. And actually, folks, I carried in the camera this morning with it on without even asking Mark yet. I did hit Panger up, but Marcus was just fine with it. I was a little nervous when he saw the little red light blinking.
Hey,
but
did you get all the bowling stuff in there?
We're going to.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to do all the B-roll later.
Show him the book that I showed you when we got in. We forgot to mention this yesterday. One of our listeners, John Sajak.
Yeah, and they sent it to my old address. I had to go to my old house to pick it up.
It's called the Baby Bass ABCs. What did he write on the end? He gave one to Mark that said, longtime BTL, maybe to something to share with future grandkids.
Yeah.
That's got to be coming up soon.
Yeah,
What do you write? What do you write on mine?
For someday.
So Brad, he's got
let me have mine.
He's got a 4-year-old little girl. So I told Brad he could borrow it for 7 to 15 years until that someday arrives for me.
Wow. All right. I want to. Yeah, it's really cool too.
Like, just read the first 2 pages in there, Mark.
Baby Bass ABCs. Let's see here. A is for anchor. It helps keep the boat in place. B is for buzzbait. Can you say buzz?
That's enough. That's your favorite page. You don't got to read past B.
All right, very cool though.
We need to write this thing because F is definitely for flipping, not for frog. Jeez.
All right, I want to let everybody know tomorrow Bradley will be back in studio with us, and then we're going to have a special guest. Rick Pierce is coming on the show tomorrow, and he's going to give us hopefully some insight on his thoughts on the status of professional fishing and some of the things that sponsors are dealing with in dealing with multiple leagues. And Rick has been in this game for, who knows, man, 50 years, maybe 40, 50 years. And he has some incredible stories about some of the experiences that he has had in the professional angling business over the years. So really looking forward to having Rick on tomorrow. The other thing that I'm working on, with so much discussion about sponsorships and advertising and, trying to sell this brand and trying to sell what people are trying to accomplish in professional fishing, I'm working really hard to get somebody from a very well-established ad agency on here to talk about the positioning of the companies that they represent in the professional fishing world. So that's something that I want to try and get done. And then I also want to mention the first week of January, we're going to have 2 special guests, both of them with big announcements. Shows are already booked on some changes for them in 2020. So kind of a tease there, Matthew.
Like sponsor changes?
Yeah.
Anglers?
Yeah.
Well-known anglers?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Big sponsor changes.
Yeah, big ones.
Like what
Cool.
Yeah.
Lures, rods, reels, boats, tours? What are we talking about here? I mean, just give us a little...
No, I can't say, man.
Something you wear? Something you hold in your hands?
It's something you use.
Well, that doesn't narrow it down.
Everything that you just listed.
Literally use everything.
Yeah. So very, very cool stuff. And then a new look is coming in 2020 for BTL. Not necessarily for the studio. The studio's rock solid. But we're going to have a little bit more functionality on the website going into 2020 with a little bit more video content and clips from the shows and kind of some behind-the-scenes stuff and everything. So very excited about things coming up in 2020. All right, Bradley, I want to know, and we may get into this a little bit in the coming weeks, but you mentioned it earlier on the show. Dude, your first tournament not too far away.
Yeah, there's actually a larger gap between my first and second tournament than there is between right now and my first.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some juggling, obviously, with Christmas and family stuff, too.
So you have so much going on from a family perspective, the holidays, trying to get ready. Is this somewhat unique compared to other situations when you were trying to get ready for your FLW tour stops? Is it logistically? Is it time? I mean, what are you doing to get ready for your first event that's coming up very quickly?
It's basically been the same thing thing for years. I mean, even when it was Elite Series stuff, you were getting boats in last minute. Everybody goes through this. Then you're trying to get boat wraps in those days, for me personally, and it's always been a juggle. Last year, it was basically packing everything up to start the year off at a Costa that was basically the day after New Year's. On Lake Amistad last year. So we're pretty used to this, traveling the country, and it seems like, there's only so many dates in the calendar that these tournament organizations can get the days in. And so therefore January gets a hard push because logistically they need to go south, and they do that, but they need to get some tournaments in to help them later in the year, with just scheduling alone. And so we're put into these situations where we start pretty early. Actually, this one's not as bad. It's January 13th or 15th, something like that. It's right in the middle of the month, so it's not the very first. The problem with this one is it's in Florida, and I live in Oklahoma, so it's a little bit of a drive. That's a 2-day drive. But other than that, what I've done to get ready, man, I started a month ago on getting ready. I've got most of my prep stuff done. I know what I'm wanting to do. I know where I'm staying, where I'm going, what I want to look for, and then I've got some strategy ideas that I'm still kicking around in my head.
Just to clarify, all 8 Bassmaster Opens.
All 8 Bassmaster Opens.
What else are you
starts
fishing?
in Florida.
What else?
That's going to be it at a national tour level, or that's not a tour level, but just at a regional traveling level. That's going to be it. I mean, I'm all in on making the elites. That's what I have to do, and So I've got to get one of those spots.
All right, Andy in Indiana wants to know, do you rig your own boat?
Yeah, I have in years. There were years that I was mandatory that I did it every year. I will tell you now, last year was the first year that Phoenix did 100%. They have a couple people inside the factory that really focus on our particular boats.
Yeah.
And he is really, really, really good. And so,
do you have his L number?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's 2 or 3 of them that I have theirs and they have mine, and there's a couple of conversations that go back and forth. But this year and last year, my boats come completely done from factory.
Yeah.
Real quick then, a lot of guys get new boats around here. Yep. 3, regardless of what brand, kind, type, maybe new, used, whatever. Guy gets a new boat going into a new season. 3 things that he can do by himself that will help him out throughout the year that you would recommend.
3 things that he can do
as far as rigging
on a brand new boat.
Yeah. That you would think would be beneficial, or maybe even 1 or 2.
Well, here's the problem. Just back 5-10 years ago, the grass were a lot easier to install. There wasn't as much to them. There's a lot more to them now in networks, and we're running more grass than we were used to be running. Number 1, put in your own batteries. That's a simple one. That hasn't changed. You can put in your own batteries, know your battery configuration, know how to make a 36-volt system, know how to make a 12-volt system, even if you're using 2 batteries parallel. Because those kinds of that thing right there can help you if you start having low battery issues on the water. Something that you can
because then
fix.
you understand because you
installed it and you understand how it works. No, I don't. I probably should do one on that,
okay.
but I haven't done one on battery configuration.
So understand your batteries and what the hell's hooked up to them and stuff. Because I mean, I gotta be honest. I look in the back and I'm just like, there's a lot of stuff hooked up to these things. If one of them goes, I wouldn't know what to.
And your electronics aren't a bad thing. If you're pretty mechanically inclined, they're not impossible. They're very doable. That's something that you can install. That's good to understand, because if you do install that, then you understand where everything is if something was to go wrong. That used to be my whole point of doing my own boat, was that way I could fix everything on the water. And you can ask any of the guys that I've been with that run service trailers. I am maybe once or twice a year in a service yard. I'm not there very much. I avoid that place like the plague. If I can fix it myself, I'm doing it.
Yeah, Stu in Alabama wants to know, hydraulic jack plate.
Do I run a hydraulic? 110%. Yep.
All right. Frank in Michigan wants to know, do you think you're going to have more pressure on you this year because of what's on the line than any other previous years?
Probably. Just because I know what I need to get done. But then some aspect, just because of my age and how long I've been doing this, it's not like, I don't feel like just pressure.
Yeah.
Just because of where I am in my life. I'm going to enjoy some of it. I'm not just going to be just, but with that being said, I want to get some stuff done, 100%, because I have to get back. I want to be on one of the premier tours, and Bass is where I want to be, and the Elite Series is where I want to be.
All right, I know a lot of people make the comment, well, fishing's fishing, but what I want to know is there anything you can take from your previous Elite Series experience that you can apply in trying to re-qualify for the Elite Series? Did you learn anything from that experience?
The only thing that I've learned from that experience is while I was on the Elite Series, there were quite a few years that I fished the Opens at that time while I was on the Elite Series, and you're not concerned about qualifying and all that, and I understand that. You're just fishing, but there were multiple years there that I would have qualified for the Elite Series when I was back in the Open. So I think the thing that I learned there is just don't put a lot of pressure on it, relax, and fish.
I'm going to make this comment, and I don't know how much validity is in it. Matt, you may be able to reinforce this, but the time and that first year that you were out on the Elite Series, we actually roomed together.
That is correct.
All right? And I saw the mental capacity in this game. Dude, it was highs and lows, and it was frustration, and there were points where you just kind of looked at me and you thought, I don't know if I really want to do this.
Yeah. All
right? The growth in your mental game.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you've got some FLW victories in there and some big paychecks, but I think from a mental perspective, you're not even in the same category as you was when you were on the Elite Series. True?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah. And I think you also come into that at a regional level also. I know that through the years, just my point systems and things like that have been much, much higher at the top tier at regional level stuff than it has been at a national level. Some of that is the same thing of what you're talking about. Some of it's aspects, some of it's competition, but for the most part, it's just being relaxed and doing what you do and not second guessing things. But 2006, dude, that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, and we were roommates. It was actually your rookie year too, basically.
Yeah.
This was before Matt. You were going out on the road, and when you had your heart attack, I was actually thinking about one of the trips that we had. I got to tell this story real quick. We were in South Carolina. This is where I learned that you do not want to have a heart attack in South Carolina. Mark was up working late. This was usually our routine. I would go to bed early because I got up and went and fished. He would do most of his interviews and stuff in the evenings after weigh-ins and stuff. So he would come in at night, and he'd have to work late at night, 2, 3 in the morning, and then turn around and get up first thing in the morning. Dude, he was doing this all by himself.
I did it for 8 years with him.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's over there working, and he hadn't eaten anything, and I'm kind of feeling bad for him. I'm like, hey, man, do you mean run and get you something to eat? And he's like, dude, I would love just a burger. Just a burger. I don't need anything else. Just bring me a burger. And he's over there, so he wants his burger. So I go to Sonic. There is one person in line at Sonic 1, and I pull up, and I guarantee you I waited 45 minutes for one cheeseburger from Sonic in South Carolina, and I thought, God, do not die of a heart attack here, or have a heart attack here, because you'll die waiting on the ambulance. I guarantee you will die before they get there.
Yeah, man, those are some fun times.
Let me ask a question. So you ran a Bass Zone wrap.
I did.
How did that come about? Did you pay him a ton of money? What? How does?
Big bucks, dude.
I've always been curious about how that went down, because when I first started working or interning for Mark, I remember I thought it was so badass that Jeffries had a Bass Zone wrap on the Elite Series, and he must be big league. That was back when you saw a guy with a wrap, and I was looking back there. It's a Littner and a Ken Cook jersey, not a Hallman jersey.
I know, but I ran that jersey too.
Yeah.
Pull that Littner jersey out of there. So Littner and I both had that same shirt. Yeah. That.
Littner wore it in the Classic one year.
Right, but you had the full wrap.
Yeah.
So how does that come about?
Well, they all came about for the same reason. Skeeter was a sponsor of his. Skeeter was a sponsor of Littner, and Skeeter was a sponsor of mine. That's how that all went down.
So that whole thing.
So what?
Tied
You needed
together.
a wrap, and Mark just covered the wrap for you?
No, it was tied into Skeeter.
Oh, okay, I got you. It was like a dual branding.
Yeah, it was part of my Skeeter contract.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got in with them then.
Well, that was back. I think Darren Cole was there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really good
there.
friend.
Yep.
So that's how that whole thing went down. All right.
We need to show some of Jeffrey's old wraps. Some of his personal wraps.
Yeah.
Purple
That's
and
why
yellow.
I don't have wraps anymore.
What colors did you? What was your main colors when you started? Purple, yellow, and blue.
Black.
Purple, yellow, and black.
Yeah.
And you had a purple wrapped boat.
Yeah.
With a yellow and black Bass Zone.
Yeah. Were you involved? You were involved with the Lake Fork thing too. Do you remember that? Ed Barton, Ty Smith.
I don't think I was there.
You weren't involved with that?
I don't think so. No,
DeGraff and Reed was involved with that?
Wait, are you talking about the Smith Action Optics?
Yeah.
You're talking about
Team
the
Bass Zone.
Yeah, no, I wasn't in there. No.
There's a DVD out somewhere that Jeffrey's hid. Where'd you guys shoot that?
At Lake Fork.
Oh, at Lake Fork. So they would put a lure on a stump at Lake Fork, and Jeffries would record all these guys setting the hook into the stump, and then as soon as the rod bent, he'd cut away, and then he did them doing donuts, and then they all had their Smith Action Optics on, and we're like Robert DeGraff Reed, Oklahoma City, Team Bass Zone, and then they like folded their arms, and then like Sean Goodwin would run past on pad, and then they had to deal with their sunglasses on with no smiling, staring at the screen.
Everybody out there that is watching and listening, there was nothing like that.
No, we're talking.
I was so ahead of the game.
Yeah, this was like 99 or 2000.
No,
maybe 2000 was before that.
No, it was around there because it was a DVD.
It was
I think I've got a copy. Who was it? So it was Sean Goodwin. Sean Goodwin.
Ed Barton.
Ty Smith.
Yeah.
Robert DeGraff and Reed.
Glenn Cunningham.
Keith Blackstone.
See,
I've got the memory, son.
What's the dude who runs the skeeter? He fishes the Wednesday nighters all the time. I know him really well. I can't remember his name.
Oh, Ron Shaw.
Yeah, I was going to say the guy.
Yeah,
Ron Shaw was on there. Yeah. Who else?
Man, you've named them all.
I think that's about it. I mean, that's all I can remember. Dude, it was so cool because it was so ahead of anything that anybody else was doing.
How'd you come up with that?
I just thought of it. I was just like, hey, let's go.
Oh, something came up last night thinking. So what was the this is bizarre. So what do you always say your slogan is about the websites? The 3 E's.
Oh, engagement, education, and
entertain.
Yeah. So I was at the movies and I see a poster that says entertain, educate, engage on it.
They stole it from me.
And it says plan a school field trip at your local Cinemark theater.
Wow.
And it's look, I took a picture of it. I was like,
that's it.
I've heard those 3 E's before.
Yeah, that's from a long time ago.
And then I turn around and there's just a big sign that says whiff them. No, I'm just kidding.
Mark's always been an originator, just like this show, just like everything else. I mean, he's always had a very good mind for starting things.
How did we get off on
I don't know.
Track?
It was a good segment, though. All right, Josh wants to know, what is the one event you're looking forward to the most this year, Bradley?
I always look forward to the first one more than any of them, just to kind of get things started, get our feet wet. Yep.
Really?
Does it have to do with that you've won in Florida before? Or?
No, but I always do enjoy fishing in Florida because it's it's shallow, it's visual, it's a lot of things that I like.
Let me ask you this: your goal that you've stated is to qualify for the Elite Series.
Right.
You haven't really talked about, I want to make the Classic. I want to win an event. You're going into the first event of the year, and you think,
hey,
listen, this hypothetical. You think you have a 10% chance to win on a pattern or a 50% chance to get a top 20 on a pattern but not win. Which one are you taking?
I think you know me well enough that what I'm probably going to. I mean, 10%.
You know what I'm saying.
But I mean, we don't ever look at anything like that.
Are you going to take risks, or you got?
If the doors and the light bulbs come on, that it's big fish and the right potential, I'm going to go for it. Here, let me take you back because this is reality. I mean, we all know how I am in points sometimes, and it can get pretty stupid. I mean, whether there's 4 events, I could have 3 top 20s and then 195th out of 200 boats on one day. So, and I know that that's realistic for me. My wife also knows that's realistic of me, and she was getting ready for work one morning, and she was quizzing me. She was like, "So, is it a win and you're in? You'd be on the elites?" And I said, "No, they don't do any of that." And she said, "Well, if you win one, is it what?" And I said, "Well, actually, if you win one, it is a classic spot." She says, "If you won that, would you be on the elites?" And I was like, "Never thought of that. You're right."
But the season starts before the Classic.
We're talking about a 2-year plan here.
Oh, okay.
So there is a back door also to qualify that way.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. So I understand what you're saying. So format-wise, and I don't know if many people understand this. So there's 2 divisions.
Yep.
The Central and the Eastern Division. 4 tournaments. There's no Angler of the Year championship.
Right.
They take the top 4 anglers in each division. After the 4 tournaments, they get an Elite Series invite. Then, this is new for this year. They took all of the anglers who signed up for all 8 opens. Rumor is there's around 50 of those guys. It's a full tour schedule. I mean, you look, Brad's going to be driving to New York, back, Florida, back, Hartwell, back, Texas, Oklahoma, all over the map.
Yeah.
The top 4 anglers who fish all 8 opens are in a points race for themselves.
Yes.
They get to drop 2 open scores, correct?
I don't know the logistics of how that works.
The way, and this is wrong, but I think you get to drop 2 open scores. So let's say you have 6 top 10s and 2 180ths. You get to drop
this
those
only works in the combined.
just for the guys fishing all 8.
Okay. So the guys just fishing 4. There's no
No,
drop
you
tournament.
get no drops. But all 8, then it's the incentive to continue fishing all 8, because let's say you tank 1 or 2, I mean, you're not going to continue fishing them.
Yeah.
But that way you could fish all 8, and then the top 4 in the points out of the number of anglers who fished all 8 that are in a race against themselves, they get an Elite Series invite after they drop their 2. So Brad can qualify for the Elite Series through the Eastern Open exclusively, through the Central Open exclusively, or through combined his top 6 finishes in both divisions, assuming you fish all 8.
I still like the win that my wife had better. Win one, win the classic,
win the classic on the Elite Series.
I like that better.
And there's going to be some double qualifiers in that too. Would you think?
I don't know. I would assume
upon
that.
the
And somebody was asking me yesterday. I don't know what they're going to do, because I think I heard that maybe with you guys, Polnick was talking about he had already fished and signed up for the Opens also, so he's fishing the entire Elite Series and all the Opens. You guys heard that?
Yeah.
So if you take a guy like Polnick, very capable of finishing in the top 4, and if he's already on the Elite Series, do they go to the 5th guy?
Yeah, well, what I'm
Eastern?
thinking about is a lot of those guys who fish all of them and qualify in the top 4 are going to have a series where they're also in the top 4.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's going to work further down the line. Is what's going to happen there for sure. Yeah.
All right, plenty of opportunity. All right, Dave wants to know, and he's asked like 5 times on the instant feedback. Are there any issues that you feel need to be addressed from a bass standpoint, or is this process, and I'm calling it the process to try and get back to the Elite Series, all about fishing and you're not worried about what's taking place from a business standpoint on the bass side?
Man, this whole thing's so new. I mean, I don't have anything that they should do. I think they're aware of the scheduling issue with what is a true regional schedule and what's not, right? I think they're aware of that. So they're just throwing. I mean, guys, this year's Opens are going to be like what the fan base has wanted for a long time. You're going to have MLF anglers, you're going to have FLW Tour anglers, and you're going to have Elite Series anglers competing in one event at the same time. And some of these top 10s, when they roll down this year, guys, are going to be some of the best top 10s you've ever seen in Opens.
And Dave,
that's a good point.
Go to the Bassmaster website and search. Hallman had a big article that they did with him after he came out that talks about the whole Elite Series and how, the young family and needing to stop and take care of his family, why you kind of stepped away from the Elite Series and then what made you get back in it.
I mean,
explains the whole thing over there in the article.
Yeah, it's a story that I think a lot of people are already familiar with. I went over quite a bit after I won my first FLW Tour event, but I mean, for the whole thing's pretty exciting for me from my standpoint. I mean, it's a new ball field. We're getting to play in a new park again, and I'm excited to do that. So I think a lot of guys are looking at it with that outlook. I know Scott Martin is just super fired up to do it, dude.
Yeah,
seriously. There's a lot of us that are.
Mm-hmm.
How old is Scott?
Same age that I am, so he's 44, 45.
Really? And he's got a ton of time left. We both do. All right, Stu in Alabama wants to know, travel-wise, are you going to travel more this year than last year? Did you look at it, miles-wise?
I bet it's less because Castledine and I were talking about this. 3 of the 4 in this division are basically our backyard. We've got 2 in Texas and 1 in Oklahoma. So 3 of the 4, and the other one's just in Alabama. And it's really, 8-hour drive to Alabama from
But you do have to go to upstate New York and back.
So the Eastern Division is quite a bit of driving.
Hartwell and back, Florida and back.
Yeah.
Because I looked at it, it's like 9,000 plus miles.
So from that aspect, it probably brings it on up to what I did last year with a New York and a Florida event. Yes.
All right. Are you two going to room together at all?
I don't think so. Are you fishing? Are you fishing the Centrals?
I'm fishing the Centrals.
Andy wanted to know. Andy in Indiana wanted to know that.
I'm fishing the Centrals.
Frank has a really good question. He wants to know, can you use different boats in the Opens? In other words, the boat that you start out with, can you switch? Can you go aluminum?
They have that tunnel hull deal that they came a couple years ago with, and that's it. But I think you can switch from tournament to tournament as long as it's the approved boat.
It's the way it's always been.
Yeah.
You could switch from tournament to tournament.
All right. Let's see here. A lot of people want to know about the China product.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
do
that tomorrow.
Yeah, let's do that tomorrow. I'll bring in the high dollar Chinese eBay reels, and I got a whole bunch of new ones in, guys. I found some for $18.95, and I went ahead and made a pretty deep order. So I'll bring some of
How
those
many did you
in.
buy?
I'll let these guys play with them, and they can give you the.
I like what you said earlier. It's kind of like you're going through the kiosk or the street vendor.
Yeah, he was
buying
asking
reels.
me. Yeah, Matt wanted me to say you ought to hit them up for a sponsorship, and I'm like, hey,
Shishimano.
I was like, dude, it changes every day. They're like street vendors.
What are some of their names?
Hong Kong. I don't know. A lot of them are just in Chinese print. So
there's not even.
It's block letters in Chinese. Some of them, and then some of them do. But that's what I'm saying. The logos, like you'll buy a reel
with 90 ball
and it'll
bearings.
come in, and then you'll be like, oh, I need to go back and buy some of those. They're pretty good. So you bought two just to try them out, right? And you'll go back. And they won't be there. They'll be sold out.
You're not worried about like giving your credit card information to these people? Like, do you just have a real credit card, like just to buy the reels? I would be like, hey, this looks sketchy to me.
It's the benefit of a credit card. If they go to charging, it's not your fault.
It's back on the credit card.
All right.
How many of these you got?
I've got a bunch.
How many?
Thousands.
I mean, how many did I order just now? Dude, I have a stack like this right now in my house that just came in this month.
And they're good for anywhere from a month to a year,
or 3 or 4 years. Some of them, yeah.
I fished with some of
I have
them.
literally taken one. This has only been one, but I have taken one out of the box, did something, and just threw it in the trash and went and grabbed another box. I have done that, but that only happened one time.
What I don't understand, and like we'll get into this tomorrow, but what I don't understand about the reels is, I was growing up, it's like, oh, it's got this many ball bearings in it. Well, these reels that Brad has, it'll say like 28 ball bearings right on on some of them. It's like, where are these balls? It's like they just.
Hey, wait till you see this new one I've got, dude. It is a 9-to-1. Have you ever thrown a 9-to-1?
No.
It's a 9-to-1. It's 21 ball bearings. I mean, this thing is a Lexus.
And you paid $18 for it.
$18.95.
Wow.
Maybe $16. I will pull up my eBay account tomorrow and we'll look at it.
That's awesome. Wow.
Awesome stuff, yeah. I get a lot of calls or messages on social media about that as well. So let's cover
Disposable reels. Seriously, if you ever use
That's seriously what they are, because, I mean, just like I say, I use Sunline, and the line that is on the reel is more valuable than the reel is. And we change the line, nightly during tournaments. It comes off and goes in the trash. So people are like, well, you just throw the reel in the trash? I'm like, yeah, dude, it goes in the trash.
Which brings me to my next question. Have you ever in a tournament used one on one day and just threw it away the next?
I only used it one day. No, I mean, it doesn't happen. Like, what usually happens is I'll get a whole bunch of them in, and I'll have all brand new reels, and then somewhere 4 months in or something, I'll have one I'll cast, and the bearing or something will sound funny, and I'll forget about it, and I'll fish with it for another month until it just bothers me so much that I just take it off the reel, off the rod, and throw it in the trash. But it doesn't just like crap out, the day I get it. Like I said, I have had one. I had one that the handle just fell off of, fighting a fish. I set the hook, and it's like, oh God, the handle just fell off. So there's a little bit, but hey, I've had that happen with expensive reels too. So I mean, it's not like I've had them blow up on hook sets and everything else. And I'm talking about nice reels, So, and I still have some other reels that I use, but I use a lot of the Chinese.
Brad Hallman won on his Falcon Shishimano Shanghai reel combo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, it's just a money saving tip for guys,
I hear you.
Disposable
if guys
reels,
can save
man.
money, save some
use
money.
it a couple times, throw it away.
Yeah.
Somebody had a question.
You get 10 reels for a $200 reel.
Yeah, 10.
Wow. Disposable.
I think if I had that though, when I
reels.
have meltdowns, I'd be more likely to just launch it.
What about the rod?
Yeah. Good point. A number of people on the instant feedback wanted to know, you mentioned it, you just mentioned it about changing line out every single day, every single tournament.
Yeah.
Is that a necessary thing for a weekend guy, or is that just more a confidence thing?
It is torture upon myself. Not all of us change our line. I was talking to Castledine just the other day. He does not change. I mean, like if he puts on new line, he's fishing the entire event with the same fluorocarbon. Me, I've tried it, and I'm just telling you from experience that if something goes wrong the next day and I set the hook and my line happens to snap and the hook set somewhere between my rod and that fish, I personally can't live with myself. I feel like it's because I didn't put forth the effort I needed to make sure that I could eliminate everything that I could. And so therefore, if I just make 2 or 3 casts with it, I'm not putting new line on it.
Yeah.
But if I fish with one a quarter or a half of the day, it's getting new line. Everyone is different. I know that I stayed with Brian Thrift. That guy goes through more line than anyone I've ever seen. He'll string 30 rods, and then he will do it every single night.
Who is that?
All the line off of it. Thrifty.
Really?
Yeah.
Like even if he doesn't really use them that much, 1 or 2 casts.
100%. Brian is putting new line on
You use
everything.
backing, or do you just go straight
I
down
definitely
to the
use
spool?
backing, 100%. Yep.
Like what, 20-pound mono, fluoro, something? Just
I don't care what it is. You just, as long as it's not braid, don't let
Yeah.
guys make that mistake because the braid slips on your spool. So don't ever do that. But yeah, fluorocarbon, mono, doesn't matter.
You use all the different kinds? Like, I
Yes.
mean, there's 15, 20 different types of sunline out there. You use...
Yeah, I like the crank really well. Obviously, I'm very much like Swindle in his little commercial. I like the shooter for flipping and pitching, and I like the crank a lot. I do.
Yeah,
I like crank.
that's what I used at
I
Cumberland.
like the structure also. And I called Jason about that new flipping line that he's got that's got the orange. That's what I'm really excited to use this year, and I haven't used it at all ever before. And at my age, I know that in low light conditions, it is difficult for me to see my line when I'm flipping early in the mornings, or if it's foggy, or even if it's a cloudy day.
Oh, yeah, you got glasses this year.
I do.
Where were you where someone was seeing him?
Scott Martin.
Yeah, you were with Scott. He was seeing him. You weren't seeing him, and you
Oh, it
were
was
like,
terrible.
we need to make an appointment here.
Let's talk about that tomorrow, too. That's a good story in itself.
All right, very cool stuff. Bradley, great stuff, man. As always, really appreciate you being in studio. Tomorrow, we're going to have Rick Pierce on, Bass Cat Boats. Looking forward to his stories. And then Christmas is here.
Yeah.
Next week, man. Next Wednesday. You going home for Christmas? You don't know yet?
Yeah, probably.
All
Yeah,
right.
I should have that talk with my parents on what we do.
Didn't have that conversation on vacation last week?
No, we didn't. You know what we do on Christmas Eve? We do fondue.
Ooh.
We put 3 big fondue pots in the
Yeah.
middle of the table. Everyone gets chicken, steak, shrimp. Sometimes we do lobster, scallops, jalapeno poppers, cheese sticks. Put them in there for 3 minutes. Someone always gets burned.
Yeah.
We always have floaters.
Oh, jeez.
No fondue
No.
in my house
No.
growing up. I didn't even know what fondue was until I was in my 20s.
Well, you also have 4 kids. That would be very dangerous, and I've met them too. I mean, they're great kids, but you got a couple active ones there that probably aren't great around a pot of boiling grease in the kitchen.
All right, tomorrow, Bradley in studio once again. Rick Pierce. Everybody be safe. That's it. We're out of here.